As well.
I'll call the meeting to order. This is the Back Porch Radio Broadcasting Incorporated annual meeting of June 29th, 2025. There's a hybrid meeting in person at 118 South Bedford Street and by Zoom on the in the interwebs. We're on in. First item is the approval of the membership roll. Doug, are you aware of any change that need to be made to the membership roll?
No, none that we've been given.
Okay, does anybody have any requests for clarification or changes to the membership roll as was posted in the hallway 2 months ago? Seeing none, it will stand as approved. Next item is the approval of the agenda. Are there any requests for amendment to the agenda? Then it stand as approved as well. Seeing no request for changes, the agenda will be approved as submitted. What we're going to do is I'll make a report, then we'll hear from Nicole Ali, and then Doug will give, I'm not sure if Doug is going to be the only staff report, but other staff are also going to present as well. So that's an implicit amendment to the agenda, which we don't have to formalize. The floor will be open to comments from participating members, and then directors, and then candidates for the board will have an opportunity to speak and answer any questions. So, and then voting will close at 5 p.m. and the announcement of the results at 5:15. The new board will take over. Between the time that the business ends and the voting ends, we'll have a social opportunity for socializing. We have some food, we have some beverages, and hopefully people can stay and socialize and talk about the station and what we have accomplished and what we need to accomplish for the future. So with that, I will turn to a president's report. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It is in the folder. I just want to make some comments. The most important thing is I am pleased to report that WORT remains healthy and strong, creatively, intellectually, politically, financially, and internally. We have continued to fulfill our mission statement with passion and excellence. We have produced exceptional programming that expands our listeners' musical and cultural experiences and increases their understanding of public affairs. That we have been able to do so with such a small and underpaid staff, with hundreds of dedicated volunteers, and a board that is elected by the participating members that we are soon to celebrate our 50th anniversary doing that. 50 years doing that is a tribute first to the East Side, which bore us and nourished us in the early years, to the greater Madison area and the entire WORT community. As I say, we'll hear from Nicole on the treasurer's report and staff in a moment. I just want to highlight some of the things that your board has done in the past year. We adopted a comprehensive volunteer handbook with an AI policy, which capped a 5-year project, which is of critical importance to our most valuable resource, our volunteers. We enhanced the already positive board staff relations by holding a joint retreat with facilitated by Jeff Burkhardt, and this generated very useful information and enhanced our mutual understandings. We adopted our first $1 million budget and got an early start on what's going to be a difficult 2026 budget. We ratified a 3-year collective bargaining agreement with IBEW 2304 for our 7 full-time staff. And then, and this is very important, we worked with the union and the staff to fix a wage disparity so we could hire qualified new directors of donor relations and news and public affairs. That was a very important thing, and the board really appreciated how forthcoming and how easy the staff and the union were to correct that problem, because it could have been difficult to solve. We appreciate their assistance. We funded necessary building maintenance and technological improvements. We organized and began holding celebrations to mark our 50th. And last, but certainly not least, we did not cower before federal neo-fascists and maintained a commitment to social justice, including keeping the focus and the name of our DEI committee. And I just note for all the volunteers who are participating online or here that we're always interested in finding more people who want to participate in the DEI endeavor. That is the good news. You probably know the bad news, which is that the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which provided 12.2% of our 2025 budget, or about $113,000, is very likely to lose $1.1 billion in funding for 2026. Now, we have already received our full 2025 allocation, so we're okay for now, but 2026 will be a very difficult budget. It will test us all. The recent summer pledge drive was wildly successful, thanks to everyone who participated, but that was largely thanks to pushback against the federal administration, and that fervor cannot be maintained indefinitely. In addition to those budget problems, we are facing unprecedented and increasing competition. As radio stations go, WORT is unique. There's no other station that has as much music, that has as much news, and vice versa. But as radio stations go, radio stations are going under competition from satellite and online services, both music and news. That is why it is imperative that we continue to focus and highlight our local programming, our local voices, and our local involvement. It was to find ways to remain relevant and thriving in this new media environment that the board last year created the task force on WORT's future, quote, to recommend by June 2025 how WORT can best utilize available and emerging technologies and strategies to expand our listenership, volunteer participation, community impact, and revenue streams. The task force met intermittently over the past year and has approved a preliminary report which has very valuable background thanks to the staff reports which were submitted earlier in our work, and a series of preliminary recommendations for both immediate and mid-range initiatives. And again, all members within the sound of my discombobulated voice are invited to join and participate in the task force. Between the good news and the bad news lies the bittersweet, and we suffered the loss of 3 dear and valuable staff members this year, 2 for exciting career advancement and 1 for well-deserved and well-earned retirement. It is fitting that Donor Relations Director Susan Sheldon is retiring on or about Halloween, because it is truly frightening to consider what our finances would have been like the last 11 years without her activity, and what our future finances will be without a successor who approaches her expertise, dedication, and insights. And making that hiring decision will be one of the new board's first and most important responsibilities. News and Public Affairs Director Shali Pittman and Public Affairs Director Jade Isiri Ramos both became the 2 latest News and Public Affairs staff to leave for bigger and better paid positions. And it's interesting, they both embody a very important aspect of the WORT community. They both started as volunteers, and they developed skills, and that led to entry-level employment and promotions, first at WORT and then unfortunately beyond. But it's still testament to what we do as a community radio station, that people can come in as volunteers with jobs, and jobs that provide increased promotions. And that's something, as we watch Shali and Jade's career advancement, we should take pride in how we were central to getting their start. And we enthusiastically welcome Nate Carlin as interim director and Sarah Gabler as the new APA producer. On a personal note, as both a news volunteer and board president, I am especially indebted to Shali, both for her technical and interpersonal skills, the initiative she took to develop and fund new programs, and the spark she provided for so many activities outside her core responsibilities. We're also losing a valuable member of the board, Laura Gupnecht, who actually helped wire the original studios on Winnebago Street and has served as the part-time chief operator from 1998 to 2000. She is stepping down after a very engaged and productive term. finally, on a personal note, serving on this board and as president of Back Porch Radio Broadcasting Incorporated has been a spectacular honor and privilege. My deep and sincere thanks to the entire WORT community, the members of the collective and the part-time staff, participating members and other volunteers, listener sponsors, underwriters and other funders, and the other directors for making this such a satisfying and enjoyable and successful year. My thanks to you all. Yours for community radio. Thank you. I'd be happy to take any questions or field any comments, or we can move on to the remaining reports. Seeing none, thank you. I will now call up Nicole Ali to make a treasurer's report.
Hello. Ali, the treasurer. I stepped into the role of treasurer January of this year, a little earlier than expected, but here we are. So first of all, huge thank you to Mary Joy, bookkeeper, for helping me. And also a huge thank you to the finance committee for their attention to details and passion for the financial future of WORT. Like Stuart said, we are doing well. WORT is doing well. I, as part of my duties, do the monthly audit of what's already been audited, which is really nice for me. And Mary Joy, again, great attention to detail makes this very easy for me to see everything very clearly. And I took notes and I've gone off my notes, so bear with me 1 second. Mostly recent pledge drives, as Stu said, have been really good. We've definitely got that bump that people were talking about. So that's really great to see that the passion is still there from our listeners to support WORT. And of course, we're still waiting the news on the CPB funding. The finance committee has, basically all right, once we get news, we go into an emergency meeting to figure out what we're going to do for next year. But we're doing okay with, and then overall, it's the ability to help be on that committee and do everything, not my ability to give speeches. So thank you for your patience. We have not received the final audit yet from the CPAs. We do an annual audit with them, but early drafts showed there were no issues that are coming up. We're going steady, we're doing good. And all the previous audits are saved and available on the website. We're doing good, which is nice, but we need to, tighten our belts next year. We'll figure it out between the staff and the finance committee. People work well together, and it's been very welcoming as I was kind of thrown into that. But yeah, thank you all for being here. Please, no one have any questions for me.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Nicole. Doug, do you want to take over now and call up the staff?
Sure. I can at least go first and then just call on somebody else. I am used to speaking in public, but I still get nervous. I'm Doug Holtz. I'm the business development director for the station. Here's my report for 2025. I'm basically going to read it because I don't know what I would say otherwise. Underwriting is finally starting to rebound this year. I think we've seen the same bump that we did in our individual donors, especially recently within the last month. Many new inquiries and returning underwriters, some that had lapsed. New underwriters this year include Kanaka Labs, Urban Community Arts Network, Slowpoke Lounging Spring Green, nice rural underwriter, Lola's High-Low Lounge, Denoto, Healthy Minds, and most recently, Community Pharmacy has come back. Tom and I are exploring selling underwriting ad space on our website in the articles section when people click to read an article. We're not looking at selling banner or sidebar ads at this time. We do want to keep the look of the website still non-commercial. We did have our first app underwriter this spring, which was really exciting. Events have been very successful overall, with increased participation and income from both the Bolorama, Chiliocracy, recent concerts that we have done. Ralph Shively and the events work group deserve special recognition for their work staffing and promoting events. Absolutely. Well deserved. They worked really hard. Wardstock was another success from an outreach perspective, yet still not profitable due to rising costs associated with the event. We had a 12% increase in income this year with Wardstock. We also had a 12% increase in expenses. And these aren't new expenses. These are the same expenses with increased costs. I have several strategies to employ to meet the rising costs and increase profit next year. The Atwood Music Hall event was very successful, and 3 more larger concert events are in the works to celebrate our 50th year. The next is the Folk and Country Spectacular on August 23rd with Bill and Bobby Malone at the Baroque, as well as several other WORT morning folk hosts. So that's going to be really excited. And then we have Dan Telmo's birthday in October, which is also going to be very fun. I also manage our CPB grant. That is part of my job as well. And yes, I'm worried about it, as we all know. And that's something I took over for Norm when he left. Originally, that was not part of my job. It was something that was added to it, and one that I gratefully do year by year. As we all know, CPB funding is at serious risk. As Stu said, it accounts for 12% of our income, with nearly $80,000 going to general operating expense. The rest of it goes to pay for BBC headlines. This would be a really hard pill to swallow, but it would not mean the end of WORT. We are financially very stable, but we may need to look at some hard decisions down the line if revenue cannot be increased by other means. Fortunately, those other means do show improvement. So there is definitely a silver lining to the cloud. I still continue to ensure HR, office management, and daily financial management run smoothly, as well as take the lion's share of the work in preparing the budget. So I'm sure I will be instrumental in that conversation. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'll call on Aaron then, since he has his hand up.
Who was our underwriter for the app? I didn't know.
Oh, there was also Cano Collapse. They
Okay.
did both on air and on the app.
Oh, I didn't know anything.
They ran a banner for 4 months.
Oh. I
And
saw it and I didn't think about it. So
and since you asked a question, you get to go next.
where did we get this?
I think it was
Turn?
Susan's.
Oh, Susan bought this?
Yeah, I think so.
I should have known. Susan likes to buy stuff. I'm Aaron. I'm the what am I? I don't know what I am. I'm the
Digital
director, digital production director, whatever that is. I do whatever anyone wants. I'll just read my report as well. This has been another busy and diverse year for my job, which has established aspects that continues to reflect the needs of other departments and what is best keeping WORT on the air. Most important project I participated in was the demolition of Combo B and the installation of the other half of the audio over IP system, which is now connecting all of these rooms together, basically making it so that we can do whatever we want in any of these rooms without really needing to run extra tech. That's sort of a larger description of it. We're now integrated between our 2 main studios, interconnected to our middle studio and our live music studio. I'm also very well versed not only in the structure of new audio systems and how to take care of it, but how to actively participate in experimentation to create new opportunities and solve new problems. A great example of this is the 2 times we hosted the 8 o'clock buzz. You were one of the people that did it, and we were able to run the tech out of this room without having to string wires all the way around everywhere. We just set up in here and it was basically a live show.
It was flawless.
Yeah, it worked. It worked. And it's
Perfect.
going to work.
Absolutely beautiful.
We have some other improvements that'll make it even easier, and then the engineer will be able to run everything that's in
Yeah.
here without me. So that'll be fun. My other main focus was to helm the 50th work group. It was my first experience with organizing and implementing plans on a large scale at WRT, and I am a little, I'm a little inexperienced in that. I've mostly been just doing tech stuff. Everyone involved in the work group has been very supportive and dynamic. We planned some great events, a couple of which we've already had, and hope to bring more to the larger WORT universe through more live shows of the WORT reunion. It's happening in July, and the digitization of our tape archives and photo and print archives, and the volunteer website and the general on-air promotion of our history. I'm also proud of the production work I've done on our promotional announcements, taking over the Insurgent Radio kiosk production from Shali, which was a long time in the making, and also being in charge of Bill and Bobby Malone's show, which is now on twice a month. I'm unsure what the future brings for our organization, but I do know that I find value and satisfaction most when I'm helping volunteers understand what we do and showing them how much we value their time and energy. I'm very proud of how the DIY aesthetic that founded WRT is still going strong. I'm hoping my toolkit of a job continues to bring good things to work in the new year.
Knew you were gonna do that. Good afternoon. I'm Jones, Tech and Facilities Director. It's been a busy year, actually both from tech and facilities, and I don't see that slowing down at all. But a lot of things that we have been planning and organizing for a long time finally came to fruition in the past year. These included, like Aaron, we got final piece of getting both studios up and operational and controlling the middle studio from each one, which that actually ended up being probably the most difficult part of it, is controlling the middle studio, depending on what studio the engineer was sitting in. That's all up and operational. Next part of this is going to be ripping out all the old cabling that's back in the data center. We have a pet name for it, but it's not friendly to, it's not friendly, so, but there's a lot of old audio cables back there that needs to get yanked out, and I'm terrified of that because even though we're all digital now, I know there's some wire in there that if I cut it, I pick us up. I know it. So hopefully not, but it's going to be a long process of actually getting that stuff pulled out. The main air conditioning at the transmitter site was replaced this past year. I'm hoping, especially in this heat wave, that both those units out there just keep on going again. Smoke detectors were actually installed in the entire building. There's one right up there. I didn't even realize we had one smoke detector in the building above the receptionist's desk. I never noticed that, but there was none in the rest of the building. It was weird. So finally got those installed. They're all interlinked. So if one goes off somewhere, all of them will. So that's, I sleep better at night knowing that. And the window replacement project is underway. Hopefully sometime later this summer, of replacing all 3 windows on this level, plus all the basement windows. 2 of the basement windows will just get sealed up basically because they're not needed. But the other ones are rusted frames and twisted, covered with plexiglass, caulked, and they really needed to get replaced. So that all that's getting done.
We have windows. We have windows.
We do. No one would ever know. And the one above the coffee, the main reason what started this was the window above the coffee maker several years ago. Got an ant infestation because the wood was starting to get rotted. And the ants got in there and made the wood even more rotted. So they need to go. And rather than placing just that one, all 3 needed to be matched, The lobby this year got a long time makeover, repainted. The ceiling had been replaced during the pandemic, the drop ceiling, and new carpeting out in there. Just to let everybody know, there was a rumor going around that I heard since I started here that there was asbestos on the flooring, so we could not remove the carpeting and replace it. Turns out, totally false. There was no asbestos anywhere. I never had it tested, and so we were able to rip up the old carpeting, and it went down to bare concrete floor, which they were then able to glue on these new carpet tiles, and I think it's a much better look out there than it was. It smells better in this building too. The 50th anniversary website is up and operational. So it's 50 years.WORT-FM.org. Go ahead and check it out. There's a lot of old pictures. We're still trying to get more stuff uploaded to it, just to make it more fun to go and explore. Overhead paging works, which supposedly was never going to be a thing. Finally works, and we used it once. That was to call people up to the lobby for cake for Shelley's going away party. That was the only time we've used it now since it got operational. And we now have an AED unit in the building in the back hallway. Hopefully we never have to use it.
and new computers are being installed to, because Windows is getting rid of Windows 10 in October. And so we need to upgrade all these to make sure we're updated all the time. So huge shout out to my engineering committee, without whom I would never have gotten most of the stuff done. They're great. And I think that's about it. Now, first I'm going to call on Susan, because she's not here. But let's see if this works. And Sybil, can you do your report from there?
Yes, here I come.
So I'm going or Sybil's going?
Oh, Susan, I didn't know you're here.
Well, I stepped out of the chambers. That would be great.
I don't
'Cause
think
I'm
you
at a
can
wet,
see- Tom, I don't think you can see all the people that are there. I mean, there's a ton of us here virtually.
Oh, I should probably fix that.
so yeah, I'm in a wedding and I just want to, flip through this. Sorry, it isn't going to be more fabulous. I'll do the best I can. Yeah, it was great to hear all the reports, and there's some ideas that I wanted to see implemented for a long time at work. And then it's fantastic that so much of this is coming into play. And the past year has been consumed with planning and organizing and training. And once again, we had many great events and a lot of wonderful music there, and also promotions in the community and the community partnerships. And thank you all for stepping up and making the studio upgrade go so smoothly, getting all the training you needed and everything. And yay, technology. And we have, with Tom, is helped to get a different calendar system for the website. So encourage people to try to start using our
Does it
website
any
calendar. Okay. I'm surveying all the DJs about your use of music, CDs, digital files, everything. So we want to be able to keep music where all hosts can even get to it, and make sure you know how to use any of the equipment that you need. And then if you have more space in the CD library, then you can create more listening stations and meeting spaces. And but the vinyl will always be kept in the big studio for sure. We're not going to use that. Going forward, we're kind of push our best content onto other platforms. So we've been organizing the photo and video archives, and we need your help. We need whatever you've got to contribute for historical stuff. And I'm working to train the volunteers to promote your shows with the video and audio from your live interviews and in studios, and to do some more live remotes as well. And we have some community partnerships that will help with space and equipment and knowledge to do some of this training, to increase our multimedia presence, and music journalism for writing about our shows and our people and our events on the website. And then some volunteer changes we had this year. We're swapping time slots for Mon Radio and the Best of Gospel show. Best of Gospel will be from 6 to 8 on Sunday mornings, and Mon Radio will be from 7 to 9. And then some other changes. Paul Baker stepped down. We welcome Mike Johnson to Monday Morning Classical, but Paul still subs on Classical on Sunday night. Said goodbye to Alex, DJ Chiaroscuro. We brought back DJ Bobby Light and Capital Boombox on Tuesday night. Said goodbye to Ann Olson and welcome Simone, aka Mary Fields, to Music Antifa on Sunday morning. Goodbye to Teresa. She is bi-monthly host on Jazz and Fight, but she's sticking around to sub. And then we welcome Arno and Augustine to the regular monthly slots on the Thursday Jazz. And we welcome DJ Siggy with her Infinite Variety on Sundays and Rock Double hosting, but she's helping put together our new videography crew. Welcome back Tony DJ Endless to Weekly World Noise, while Eric Kramer is on hiatus, and also Tim Sowers stepped down from monthly hosting Better Living through Show Tune Sundays, but he'll stay on as a sub as well. That reminds me to and a shout out to our ever reliable sub, the G-Man, because we wish him a speedy recovery. And then think of the future. I want musicals to talk to me about getting some help, assistant for your show. and having people sit in so we can mentor a new wave of hosts. We've added a lot of diversity in the past several years, to our host lineup, and we want to keep that up. It's been a great 50 years for WRT, a wild 30 years for me personally, but we are facing some new challenges right now that we've heard about. Your help getting the word out when we ask is appreciated. The more that you volunteers learn and teach others, the better off we are. We have to face the worst case scenarios. I know the station has a great reputation and a deep impact on the community. I see it just growing more and more. And the station itself has grown a lot in the past few years and will continue to change and adapt to the times as needed. So rest assured, we'll still be around for decades to come. Thank you.
Susan?
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Hi, Susan Sheldon, Donor Relations Director, and fair warning, this is going to be longer than other staff reports because I'm taking advantage of the fact that this will be my very last report to the membership. Between pledge drives, major donors, card donations, and more, we are well ahead of budget for 2025. So budget is going well. Unbudgeted items, the building maintenance fund was not budgeted for. So we've got another 110,000 in expenses, estimated expenses for that. Just going to go over real quickly, 60,000 for a new roof, 10 to 11,000 new windows, 30,000 to prep and paint the building. We need to repack the elevator, replace and relocate gutters, tuck point the chimney. That amounts to about 108,000 in unbudgeted repairs that are needed. So far, major donors have contributed 76,000 to the fund. 48,000 is committed in matching grants. So if we match that full 48,000, we will have 120,000 in funding, which will give us at least a 12,000 cushion for unexpected renovation surprises. And the public part of this campaign, it's been basically, we've talked about it during pledge drives, but a real public push is going to start in July to get those matching funds in order. So anybody have any questions about the building maintenance?
Seeing none.
Thank you. So here's some important department numbers to track. I kind of did a look back over the last 10 years. So the number, first, I think one of the important things we have to track is the number of new WORT donors. How many people become WORT donors every year? So that's dropped from 1,200 annually in 2014 to about 430 in recent years. So 25% or more new donors a year is considered healthy, a rate that replaces, the people that don't donate, that discontinue, that die, that move to another place, etc. Over the last 12 months, 15% of our donors have been new. That's counting all the ones we picked up during the winter pledge drive when we gave an incentive matching grant to new donors. Every year we lose, I would say it's hard to tell exactly, but I know we lose a minimum of 200 people because I follow the obituaries for Madison and we get a good number out of that. So I like to be able to send some kind of sympathy card to families. So that's one way I track. And the other way is people that quit becoming monthly donors and tell me that they're relocating or they no longer have the money to do that. So the number of annual WORT donors has remained stable, even though we have less and less new donors. So that's been averaging about 3,200 annual WORT donors since 2014. So the question is, if we're not getting new donors, how are we maintaining the same amount of donors? And that answer is donor retention. And that number refers to the people who donate one year and then donate again the following year.
Little girl is a little female. She's about 9 months old.
What? Someone mute that, please.
Sounds like someone's off mute there.
So donor retention was 35% in 2014, which meant the people who gave in 2013, 35% of them gave again in 2014. Last year, it hit 70%, and it had steadily increased every year since 2014 to 2024. 90%, if we widen it to 2 years, 90% give, and if they don't give every 1 year, they give every 2 years. So we really have a committed, at this point, our donor database, our donors are committed. The key reason for the higher retention rate is, one, I'm fabulous. No, that really isn't the reason. The key reason is that we have increased the number of monthly donors from 10% to almost 35%. And monthly donors have a 97% annual retention rate. So by gradually over all those years raising the monthly donors like that, we have made a really solid annual retention rate. So that's how we're holding on, even among new donors, which, by the way, the average new donor nationally for a nonprofit, if they give, they have a 15% chance of giving again the next year. Ours is over 40%. So we are really lucky to have people who are committed to WORT. In addition to the retention rate rising over the last 10 years, we've also increased the average dollar amount of donations per year by donor. So the average donor is giving much more money than they gave in 2014. In fact, we increased donations by over 50% from 2014 to 2024, even with much fewer new donors. And that was done because our donors are giving more money. And that, I think, is because we've offered many more ways for them to give. So somebody might give to pledge drives and donate their car, and also do an IRA distribution to us. So between all those things, we've really seen a rise in the amount of money donors are giving. This is much of my success at WORT boils down to a few things. First, volunteers have been willing to trust new methods. For a long time, the pledge drives had 700 premiums that I had to track. And that all ended with the pandemic. And we now have about 10 or 12 WORT imprinted items. That has given the host time to talk about WORT and the real reasons that people donate to us, and our need and our request for them to help us. And that in turn has led to increased fundraising all year long, because I can't reach out to all of our listeners. I don't know their names. I don't know their phone numbers. I don't know their emails. The only ones I have are the ones that are actually giving money to us right at this moment and in the last couple of years. So by having the host make these fundraising messages during pledge drives, we now are getting that message out to everyone, and no longer talking about this CD or this gift certificate that someone can get, but genuine great fundraising is happening during the pledge drives and is reaching everyone. And that has helped my success tremendously, because at the end of the year, people have heard that message 3 or 4 times from the host and are ready to make that end of year gift, are ready to think about us when they're ready to do an IRA distribution. The second thing that I think has made me successful is the fact that even though I had been in fundraising for couple of years, 5 years, I actually sat down and reached out to all of a mini community radio stations development teams to ask them, this is what can you help me with pledge drives, with lapsed donors, with this or that. So I also sat in on many webinars that were directed for that. So getting expert advice from people who actually are doing this job at other stations or are doing important work in fundraising is really important, because fundraising is not intuitive and everyone has a reason why they think they give. I happen to believe it's much more emotional, and we come up with the rational reason later. But trying to say, because I give this way, we should have this message, is a big mistake in fundraising. And the final thing is that I'm willing to look at data. And I really hope whoever takes this job after me is willing to look at the numbers and not go by hunches or intuition or anything, and instead really pay attention to what is working. And finally, last thing, I want to make a special request to the board. I thought I'd be at WORT until I keeled over. What stopped me is it just became too stressful. I was fine with meeting the budget every year. This year I'm budgeted to raise $710,000 for the station. And we're a good way, we are in a great position right now for that. But every year there are unbudgeted expenses, 110,000 this year. The soundboards were 160,000. That is so stressful to have that become part of your job unexpectedly and without any real planning for it. So I would ask that this next person that comes into my job not have to deal with that, and that there is real budgeting for things that we know we're going to have to repair the soundboards. We knew the roof was coming, but there was no budgeting or planning for any of that. And the final thing I want to say is I am what is known as a successful fan. For 4 decades, three and a half, I listened to WORT and was a fan of many of those hosts. John Kraniak in 1984 was the very first host I gave money to.
Thank you, Susan.
Yeah, $40 on a graduate student budget was not small change back then, but I was very grateful to find a station that for free, I was getting the music education that I had never had. My dad played classical and jazz, and other than that, I hadn't heard anything growing up. So this station was just a godsend that, while I was paying to go to law school, I was getting WORT for $40 a year, which I regarded as a big, wow, I couldn't believe I could get this kind of stuff for that little money. So I just want to say it has been my pleasure to work with the volunteers, this board, this staff. You guys, this has been, I wish I could have stayed longer, but my health right now is not what it should be. But you will see me back as a volunteer, and I, of course, will be at the services should the person who takes my place want them to answer any questions or give any help that I can give. So that's it. Any questions?
Seeing none, thank you, Susan.
Adrian.
Okay. Thanks for coming in today and attending virtually. I'm Adrienne Randy. I'm the Volunteer and Outreach Coordinator. And I'll just have my report printed here, so I'll just read through it. I think over the past year, I've really embodied the saying, you can't see the forest for the trees. I approach each day with a to-do list and execute tasks that I stay so focused on that it's not until reports like this that I'm able to just zoom out and see what we've really accomplished over the past year. So in regards to my non-music promotional exchanges, I've continued new relationships I created with the YWCA, Madison Public Theater, which was formerly known as Strollers Theater, and Loon Art. These were formed over the past couple of years, and we have been a media sponsor for every event they've had over the past 2 to 3 years. For newer promotional exchange relationships with events like Vegan Fest, Mad Gluten Free Fest, and businesses like 4-Star Video and COPA, they're all going well, and I expect WORT to be a media sponsor for their future events as well. This past October, I gained a new social media volunteer, and the social media work group has sprung up from there. The volunteer and I usually meet twice a week to go over posts for that week. We've created social media campaigns for events like Boardstock, the Atwood Music Hall opening. We also meet with Susan before each pledge drive to make sure we stay on our followers' feed. In my monthly board reports, I've shared the analytics for our Instagram account, which has been consistently growing since we began our consistent posting. For the first time since I began volunteering for the Access Hour, we are almost fully booked out to the end of the year, 6 months in advance, which is great. I'm also happy to report that my push over the past year or so, maybe 2 years,
For more live music performances on the show has been successful. We have had many opportunities to train volunteers on how to engineer live music with bands performing on the Access Hour. I also put together a WORT street team description over the winter. I had the concept mostly fleshed out and did my research even with the city for permits we may need. But unfortunately, due to other commitments at the station and events, I was not able to successfully launch this idea. My hope is it will begin next summer. The enormous albatross around my neck that was the volunteer mailboxes, it's been accomplished and set free. I want to thank again Harry Ragg, who donated the wood, and Doug Ranney, who designed and assembled the mailboxes. And with the new carpet, paint, TV monitor, and updated WRT history shelves that we've started putting out there, the lobby is looking very sharp. The CAB, the Community Advisory Board, has experienced some unexpected growth this year, with 2 new members and a third who will most likely start in the fall, which is great. With Shawley's departure, I assumed the chair position of the archiving department, which has also experienced some volunteer growth over the past year. The department is currently beta testing the archiving database for greater volunteer use, hopefully later this year. As Stu mentioned, the Policy and Bylaws Committee finished the volunteer handbook after many years of blood, sweat, and tears. The handbook was sent to all volunteers, and their feedback was gathered and assessed by the committee. Soon we'll have our first updated WRT handbook since the late 90s. Volunteer recruitment and growth remain consistent and strong. We have volunteers of all ages and backgrounds at the station, but over the past year or so, they have consistently skewed younger, mainly in the 20s and 30s, which I know was definitely something the board was wanting to encourage. And with more projects on the horizon, I see next year as being just productive as this year. Any questions? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nick Carlin. I am the interim News Talk and Public Affairs Director. News Talk volunteers continue to make excellent community radio past year. Many hours of volunteer labor go into all of our programs, and we are so thankful that you all continue to give us your time and expertise. Some news from the News and Talk Department. As Stu alluded to, News Director Shawley Pittman left the department. She gave the department so much over her 5 years as director. We are very grateful. She will be deeply missed. We're currently in the process of searching for her replacement. Talk producer Jade Sari Ramos also left the department. Excellent producer, loved presence at the station. Sarah Gabler was brought on as our new talk producer and has adjusted to the role well. Public Humanities fellow Carlos Davalos wrapped up his year as a fellow with us, during which he helped expand our Spanish language programming and volunteer outreach. He also did some excellent reporting for us. The news department won 6 professional awards over the last year for our coverage of various stories, including the Abundant Life shooting, UW spending on consultants, a local worker collective, and our local history feature reporting. Other special news projects that took place over the year, we had special coverage for the Wisconsin Film Festival, the very momentous fall election, the Democratic National Convention, and the Republican National Convention. On her way out, Shawley Pittman spearheaded a volunteer wiki with lots of useful guides and FAQs. It is volunteer.wortfm.org. The password is community. Please let me know if there is something you think that should be added to that wiki. We're hoping to lean on that moving forward. The news never sleeps, and we are excited, if that's the word, to keep providing the excellent conversations and coverage that WRT has come to expect. Thank you.
If I could ask staff when they get a chance to put their reports in the folder for today's annual meeting so people who weren't able to hear it live can access it. I think you'll get a sense from that where we're at right now is a really good place. As I said in my report, we're healthy on all the important indicia, but there are challenges ahead. We know what the assignments are. We've got the people assembled who can meet them, and we're about to elect a new board to continue that process. But first, we have an item on the agenda. Are there any comments from participating members before we go into the period of election of directors? Yeah, Brian.
I just have a couple of comments. I mean, first off, thanks to all the staff and everyone who's been helping to get us where we are. But one thought I have is that if we're going to be looking at some budget cuts and primarily to the board, I assume, in the next year, I hope people look at things other than WRT produced programming, things like BBC, Democracy Now! I know we pay a lot for those satellites. I know they're fairly popular. It's also true you can get that material elsewhere. And I really hope that WRT continues to focus on the locally produced programming and does what it can to maintain the staff levels that we have now. So I would strongly suggest that be, if cuts need to be made, that be the first thing on the chopping block. The other thing I'm excited to hear that we have a social media sort of team. One of the things I think would be really helpful is to get some guidance to hosts about how to use social media effectively. I've gotten all kinds of differing information about that in the past. You know, a lot of the stuff that we produce potentially has a long tail, and that, you know, it will have a life long after it's broadcast on 89.9. If there are recommendations or best practices about best ways to make sure that happens and to get that kind of podcast, you know, viral thing going with some of the things we produce, it would really be welcome to get some thinking on that and feed it back to the hosts. Yeah, I think that's most of what I had to say.
Thank you, Brian. Anybody else have anything to say at this time? Okay, well, now we're going to move into the period for election of directors, and I would ask Vice President of the Board, Tanya Graham, to come on up and preside over that part of the proceeding.
So here are candidates. Well, we've seen our candidates applications, and we would like to invite our candidates to speak and just share their reasons for running for the board and their outlook. We have allotted about 5 minutes for each candidate. Also have a question and answer session that I'll be moderating if we need moderation, and I'd like to keep that to 2 minutes. Who would like to go first? If I'm just looking at the order of candidates as listed in the voting guide, we have 2 minutes.
So with the listener sponsor.
With the listener sponsored candidate, we have 2 open seats, one ending in 2027.
Yes, I can go by order of being listed.
All right.
Just to note, Tanya, you were really difficult to hear.
Okay, I'll speak louder and Terry, speak up.
All right, thanks. Kind of intimidating to be here in front of all of you. My name is Terry Bowes. I have been a Madison resident for almost 3 decades, 28 years. Married, grandfather, 1 daughter. I've been listening to WORT since I lived over on Wilson Street here in the studio apartment. I love the station. I don't think that needs to be overemphasized. I do all love this station and what it provides. It has expanded my music, my news, my outlook on the world. And so I'd love to give back to it. I bring to the table some ability to be resourceful. It sounds like this, you know, where it doesn't sound like this is a very resourceful organization using, you know, a shoestring budget, even if $1 million is now considered a shoestring. But I'm just glad to stand in front of you all and offer up my services if I can be of help and be on the board. I don't have profound things to offer or give you, but I take any questions, I guess. Thank you.
I did have a question. I'm sorry, nobody.
Question here.
Question from Susan.
I just want to know, have you sat in on any of our board meetings virtually or looked over any of them online or?
No,
How-
I have not. I'll be honest, I've never taken until this application an interest in the back end of WART. I've listened to it. I have volunteered here. I've done phone answering shifts back when, I don't want to get the name wrong, but was it Glenn was volunteer coordinator?
That's right.
Glenn, I did for a long time. Donated and listened and gone to events for years, the block party when it was down here. So, no, I have not.
And one last question, if you could change something about WART, what would it be that you would change? Just from listening, just from your experience listening.
I'm gonna be honest, and I kind of alluded to that in my application. I love WART as it is. I'm not here to really change a lot of things. Do I have ideas? I mean, not necessarily right now. I love so many of the programs. And there are so many things that wouldn't personally resonate with me that have become more important to me in my life. I mean, no, there's nothing I want to see change other than maybe more money in the coffers and more volunteers and the younger listening, getting newer people involved. I mean, I think with all the options out there, digitally, on the internet, the apps, social media, what this station has to offer is a very original, but yet very challenged viewpoint up against the mainstream. And I think we have a wonderful community here up in Madison, and I've listened to a lot of other community radio stations, not a lot, I shouldn't say a lot, the one in San Francisco and a couple in Chicago during some travels. But what you guys have done is fabulous, and seeing you continue to do it, moving into the digital age, which will have to happen, of course, are really, the areas where I'd say we've got, we have to focus probably.
Do you have any experience serving on a board?
I do. I was on the Vegan Fest committee for 2 years. Been a vegan for 15, 16 years. I enjoyed that time very much. I will say this, I'm glad you asked the question. I'm not a person that volunteers to something a lot. I'm not I only want to volunteer here because of the value I believe in WART and have for years. And for that reason, I also say, if there's better people to do it, I'm all for them doing it too. I just, thought I would throw my name in the hat. I'd love to be a part of it, but also I'll be listening and donating and continuing on no matter what. So. Anything else? All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Gary.
Good afternoon. I'll give you a little bit about my personal professional background and why I am running for board. Grew up in small town Wisconsin, Chilton, 12 hours north of here. Came to Madison in '95 to go to school here. So I just realized today that I've been a WART listener for 30 of the 50 years. That feels like a lot. Always been a huge WART fan, and have thought a lot about volunteering. And only recently, with some professional changes, I got some time freed up. And so I reached out actually to Shali about doing some volunteering on the news and talk side. And I have started a little bit of training on the soundboard. I just recorded my first APA Evergreen show last week. But in our conversations, she actually encouraged me to run for the board. In my early career, I was in education, especially, well, I worked for Centro Hispano. I was a youth program coordinator in college, really working sort of tutoring, mentoring Latino youth. From there, I taught middle school Spanish in Baltimore for a year, and then moved to Washington State and worked in a bilingual classroom before transitioning to the field of medical interpreting. So I did medical interpretation, Spanish, English for a few years. I eventually became the manager of interpreter services at Dean Clinic, now SSM. Did that for a few years. My role expanded to be the director of health information and interpreter services at DNSSM. So essentially kind of, mid-level healthcare administration, and learned a lot about sort of business, process improvement, systems, et cetera. Did that for close to 10 years, and then left and ran for Common Council in Madison, served 4 years on the Common Council. And then the last 2 years, I was the Strategy Innovation Planning Officer for the Wisconsin Department of Transportation for their IT bureau. So I recently left that position, and as I mentioned, I've got a lot more time available, and so I'm really interested in giving some of that energy here to work. There's a lot of things that interest me, but in reality, I feel like I could probably contribute the most through the kinds of nerdy organizational meeting heavy type work that would happen on a board and committees. So I'm one of those weird ones that sort of thrives in that kind of environment. I do have a lot of experience on boards in addition to the Common Council. I've also have a lot of volunteer experience, beginning with Nuestro Mundo. I was on the board and treasurer in the early days. I was president of Lapa Marquette parent-teacher group for a number of years while my kids were in school. And then I also was sort of the chief instigator and founding board member of Madison Bikes, a kind of bike advocacy organization that's growing here in town. So it's always been an important part of my life. And again, I have a lot of experience learning how to work with, especially volunteer groups, to try and organize and coordinate energies to actually kind of get things done. So I feel like I have a lot to bring to board. Maybe I'll leave it there and I'll take any questions.
Susan, please speak up. Thanks.
Same thing. One, have you attended a WORT board meeting, which I think I have because I thought I saw you there.
Yep.
And two, is there any one thing that you've noticed that you think this is something that maybe we want to look at changing?
Yes, I did attend just the last board meeting. In terms of things I want to change, so again, I have a lot of background in process improvement. I am sort of naturally somebody who focuses on change. I think I've also learned a lot about how important it is to not change too fast or change without good reason, and to really respect sort of tradition and history. So I feel like I've matured to kind of balance these things. I really don't know enough about all the inner workings of WORT to really be able to say this is what sort of needs to change. But I can tell you sort of two things that I'm interested in. One, I've talked with Tom about a sort of refresh to the website. My biggest beef is just the kind of latency and how long it takes to load, or I'm worried I lost a connection. But in just my brief conversations with Tom, I think that's probably, you start pulling at these threads, maybe like the room with all the audio cables, and it's a little bit of a what we call fragile site. So that's probably a pretty big undertaking, but I do have experience organizing, coordinating those kinds of big initiatives. I think it's something to start a conversation around. And the other thing is I'm really interested also in data, as you mentioned, Susan, and have talked with Shali about listener survey. I'd really like to survey listeners, non-listeners, sort of potential listeners, and also staff and volunteers. And I know surveys can be horrible. They can also be really enlightening. And so for me, in order to really know what I would want to change, I would really want to start by hearing from, people that have a stake. So people that work here, that paid and unpaid, and the people that listen and that might listen.
Any other questions? Brian.
What's your favorite show?
Oh
man, that's
Saturday all day obsessive.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll leave it broadly like that.
Thanks very much.
Yep.
Hello.
Well, my name's Dan Graufner. I'm the current sitting secretary of the board. I've been, I was elected to a 3-year term 2 years ago. I forfeited a year of my term to our initial treasurer, Ashley Roberts, who would stay around, and so I'm up for election a little bit early. I started with the station in 2012. I was the producer for Marcus Watson's Funk and Soul review, which was very fun, and I've done a number of things since then. I'm one of the producers for radio literature, and I'm on the production team, Perpetual Notion Machine, and I love this station and this board. And all of the people who are here. And if I was elected, I would run again. If I was elected to be an officer, I would do that. Again, it is working here and with this team is one of the most fulfilling parts of my life, and the parts of my life that I'm very happiest about. But there's been something else that happened very recently. Most of the term that during most of the time that I've been on this board, I'm dating a girl from Edgerton named Amanda Bade. We broke up in the early part of December, and she has recently been very publicly poisoned with thallium cyanide.
Oh, goodness.
All manner of fucked up right now. She's paralyzed from the waist down. Half of her face is paralyzed. One of her arms is paralyzed. She's a very active at VA. I love her very much, and hoping that you can listen to this personal appeal to go to her GoFundMe page. They've been trying to raise money for Amanda, who may live for either just a little while longer or much longer, depending on how things go. So whether you feel like you'd like to vote for me for this, I hope that you will go and take $5 or $10 or $100 and put it into Amanda's GoFundMe. She was someone who would frequently text and talk to me throughout. Just very concerned about how things are going with her, and wondering what we as a station can support that without overplaying and also being news agents. Are there any questions?
How do you spell Amanda's last name?
E-A-D.
Within the chat for this thing, the GoFundMe.
And I'm thinking that she may, and it's hard to say what she'll want to do. She's very vocal and a very good writer. Thinking that we might in some way be able to give her like an outlet to tell her story. Are there any other questions? Susan?
Of course. Phil, you've been on the board for a while now. What do you see as the number one thing that you hope the board addresses in the next year?
It's you transitioning out, Susan. The biggest threat that exists to this station is having your seat filled by somebody new. I think our guess is that we're going to come in $200,000 short the first year that we transition to a new person. It is of the utmost importance that we find someone who's very good and that gets along with you well enough that we can train with special sauce into them, and to such a degree that we don't suffer a catastrophic shortfall immediately after your departure.
Okay, I'm just going to respond to that. Everyone is replaceable, and I have many blind spots, and I hope that you find somebody that, you know, I am very hopeful, and I am willing to help that person in any way that they want to be helped. So I'm bowing up and offering to volunteer as much as that other person wants me to. So just know that, you know, just because I'm leaving, I am going to become a volunteer for WORT in any way that I can help with anything that the new person takes on. And I'm hoping that they have skills I didn't have, and you guys will see an increase instead of a decrease. So I hope that that fear is unrealized.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Susan.
Me too. Maybe we will have an increase. I think if we all band together, who's to say that we can? Are there yet any more questions? Thank you.
First position. Then we have a second position that is up for election. Participating volunteer member candidates. We have 2 open seats. The term for these candidates will end in 2028. Our first candidate is Carlos.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for being here, for listening to me. On my way to the radio station, I was thinking of what a privilege it is already to be here. I gosh, if I could talk to my 11-year-old version of myself, that's when I started listening to radio. It would be just dramatically surprising to say that I would be here, standing in front of y'all. Radio personalities, radio people that are close to the radio, and say to my 11-year-old version of myself that I would be here trying for this position. So for me, it's already an amazing moment to be here. I'm originally a reporter from Mexico City. I started doing journalism when I was 19, 20 in Mexico City, in radio stations too, and newspapers. So my relationship to radio has been very close. First as a listener when I was 11 years old, and now as a reporter, as a journalist, I guess. And I came to Wisconsin, to Madison. That, by the way, I've been in, I was in the Bay Area for some time. I was in Texas. I was in New York City too, working with newsrooms as well. And this is the one that has welcomed me the warmest. So I feel really happy to be here. And I came to Madison because I was recruited to do my PhD here at the university, at the journalism department, precisely. And I'm writing a dissertation on FM radio, in Mexico City during the 90s. So my relationship to radio is really, really close. And I always tell my mother this, precisely to my mother, because I think that I'm a son of radio. I think I learned so many things of radio. But one of the central things that I think I learned that I would love to continue doing here, if I have the opportunity to be a board member, is to build community. It's something that when I talked to Shelly Pittman, who was the person that brought me here, that was the central thing that I talked to her when I was applying for that fellowship position a year ago. I just want to build community. Just want to continue building community. I want to be part of this community. I want to see how else I can expand the listener community of the radio station, but also the people that are related and that are part of WORT. So I can share that my first assignment as a fellow, by the way, the fellowship was through the University Center for the Humanities. So that's how I was able to come here for a year as a paid staff. And my first assignment, which is an amazing thing for a Mexican reporter, is to cover the Democratic National Convention. It was a team of 4 people. It was Sarah Gabler, Shelly Pittman, of course, the one and only Faye Parks, and myself. So that's how I started building a relationship with the radio station. So I'm already so grateful for that. And a couple of things that I just want to share that I don't think were very clear in what I wrote in my application is that I want to be I speak Spanish, and I've developed, I think, a strong relationship with the Hispanic community in the area. People know me. I know a lot of people. Um, I'm really, really hoping to build very, very strategic relationships with the Hispanic community, with Hispanic businesses, and not only relationships, but financial relationships. I'm really hoping to develop financial relationships with the Hispanic community in the Madison area that could help WORT, especially in the next following months or maybe years, hopefully not, that could be a little turbulent. So that's one thing that I wanted to be very clear about. And the other, I think I read my application again when I was today in the morning, and I was very specific about the Hispanic community, but I think I would love to also, expand or, bridge the relationship that the radio station has with other underrepresented communities beyond the Hispanic or Latino community in the area. And why not also outside the United States, something that I would love to also see, have a stronger relationship with other newsrooms, with other news efforts, with other music content, radio efforts. And I think that's all I have. I'm really, really grateful to be here. It really is amazing for a person that's from another country, from a different culture, and that speaks a different language as it's his first language to be here. So I'm really, really grateful to be here. On a very, very personal note, with this I will finish. Right now, as we are all here, my mother is visiting Mets. She's waiting for me right now, and she told me, dude, it's already amazing that you're going to a meeting like that. So I get emotional a little. Sorry. She congratulated me before whatever the result is. So that for me is already winning. So with that, I want to thank you so much. 6 minutes, yes. Questions? Yeah. All right, sorry.
Susan, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Same question. You've been here for a year. How many board meetings have you been to, Carlos?
I think I was in one at the very, very beginning. Gosh, I can't remember. I can't be 100% sure, Susan, but I think I was in one. I'm sorry.
I think you're in like 2 or 3. I remember
Yeah.
being at a
Yeah.
that you were at.
I think I've been in a few. I've been present in the meetings, Susan, and I know how they go. I know what the dynamic is and how they function.
And one other question, if you were not elected to the board, there are many committees that you can serve on without being a board member. As a volunteer, or even non-volunteers can join many of our committees. Are you interested in serving on any committees if you should not become a?
Yes. My intention is to be part or connected to the radio station in whatever position that is. So that's a hard yes.
Thank you.
Also participated as a guest in some committees before, so thank you for that, Carlos.
Yeah.
Ryan has a question.
So just tell me what kind of experience you have serving on a board. Have you ever served in a board where you're voting on issues and things?
I was part of the people that started the college radio station in my college in Mexico City. That was some years ago, and that was my first experience as being part of a group that serves as a board. It's a different dynamic, and I learned a lot. But that was my first experience as a board member. Then, when I was at Berkeley's journalism school, we started there a hyperlocal website to report on the different neighborhoods there, and I was also on the board of that website that we started. So those are the two, I think, experiences that I have. I had a little really crazy independent little record company in Mexico. So I was the person that preceded the board there, and I have a couple of other friends and musicians and people that were part of that board. So I do have a little bit of experience in that context.
Other questions?
Thank you. Thanks so much. Thank you.
You want to go next? Tom Davis is
Oh,
next
I'm
on the
sorry.
list.
I'm sorry. I should know my alphabet.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, after Carlos and Stu's presidential report, kind of feel like I did the Green Mile right there. I'm Tom. Been a longtime listener, born and raised in Madison, went to East. Started listening since I was like 16. I think my application for the board shows a lot of shows that touched me in a lot of different parts of my life. And that's why I started volunteering for WORT. Listed some, started with answering phones a couple shifts when I was in college, and yeah, currently I'm on track. Currently I'm on the programming committee board. Been there for about 3 years now. Just to highlight some of my involvement with the station or what we've done over the last year without a PC report in this meeting. And we came to the board with 2 recommendations for live shows for most of the daylight hours. I think there's a lot of reasons for the increases in budgets, but I think getting the live broadcast helps. And we also put forth that programming change that Sybil had mentioned with switching Best of Gospel and More Radio. That wasn't a decision we took lightly, or was a few meetings. That was a discussion working with them. Shelly, Nate, and Sybil did a ton of work on that. And we're also currently with you guys bringing up the possibilities that WORT may not be able to fund as many programs. That's been brought up at our meetings already about the current work that we're doing right now is to really set a standardized, streamlined new show proposal and rating system. One, we're looking at how we can streamline that if need be, and things come in, emergency situations happen where we can't get democracy networks. How we can get new shows ready and up in the air, and also just to make sure that we are all using the same rubric and being fair and transparent in our communications and our grading. So, I guess I'll start and answer Susan's question. I have not gone to a board meeting. I have read over a couple of the minutes, but I'd be lying if I said I studied them hard. Big changes, I think, it's also been brought up at the programming committee is the website. And I think that's a bigger issue than I thought it was, talking with some of the committee members. And I think that needs to just start being a process that gets going. I don't think it's a this year thing. It's a planning for it this year, executing it in 2 years and working through that, funding it. We want. As far as board experiences I had, I did a little shy of 2 years as a treasurer for was an elected position for the Mad City Disc Golf Club back in 19 or 17. So, yeah. Anybody have any questions? All right. Thank you very much.
I'm Stu Levitan. Before I give my pitch, I just want to say something about the structure that we're dealing with today. We have listener sponsor seats and participating member seats on the board, but only participating members can vote. And that is part of the brilliance of the structure that was created 50 years ago that establishes that this station will always be controlled by the people who volunteer and participate in the station, that you can give all the money in the world, and you can serve on the board, but you can't be part of electing the board. And I think that's important to remember and keep in our mind as one of the defining things about WRT as not just listener sponsored, but member driven. I think that's an important thing about us. Now, as to the affairs before us right now. Let me get to the proper document. The awkward situation we have right now is that we have more qualified candidates than we have open seats. There will be qualified candidates who lose. I'm going to take a moment or two to explain why I hope I'm not one of them. Simply, I've been doing the job of director for 10 years and I've been doing it well. And I have the skills and the energy to keep doing it well for another term. And that's all I want is one last term. In particular, I think I have been a good president, especially this past term. I provided inclusive and supportive leadership and focus without trying to dominate. I raised good ideas like the task force on WORT's future and the board staff retreat and helped see them through to implementation. I ran good and productive meetings and maintained a healthy relationship with staff. I was an active and high-profile cheerleader for the station and represented the station well. And I helped get some special financing from a neighbor in Tacoma and some friends at the Downtown Rotary for some special projects. I made a good record and I'm primed to continue that service if given the opportunity. There's another thing, as I noted and other people have noted, we are in for some tough times ahead. And I'm the only elected director who has served more than one term. I've also developed, I believe, a strong working relationship with both other directors and staff. And that experience and those relationships will be important as we work collectively to work through the tough times that we're about to experience. I have been involved with WRT since 1980. I hosted a public affair back when we were still on Winnebago Street. I later did the breakfast special from Cleveland's Lunch. When we moved to this building in 1982, I was president of the Neighborhood Association and wrote the block grant application that got financing for this very room. You can see the plaque on the wall in the entryway. I worked professionally for a while and I came back. I started an award-winning Madison history feature on the 6 o'clock Wednesday news. I later created Madison Book Beat, which has since grown into a full collective. And of course, I've been on the board for a decade. WORT is deep in my soul. So here is the final reason why I'm asking for your vote. And frankly, it's a little pathetic, but I'm among friends, so I will share. I don't have a family. Being on boards and commissions and doing radio and writing history books is what I do to give my life meaning. Being on the WORT board has been important to me. It has given me a sense of identity and a sense of service that few, if any, other engagements have provided me. I hope very much I'll have the opportunity for one final term of service. But if that doesn't work out, I want you to know how grateful I am to have been given the opportunity for this service the past 10 years, how gratifying that service has been, and that however the selection turns out, that I will continue to do all I can to help WORT continue to thrive. And I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you. Yeah, Nate.
Also, in the what's one thing you hope to change in your next term?
Change. Well, I mean, there are things we need to do. I don't know what we need to change. I mean, we need to continue to engage new listeners and new volunteers. I mean, the fact of the matter is that we have a tremendous pool of volunteers who are doing great work and like keeping us thriving, but it's the same number of volunteers we had in 1976, 77. And we need to continue to grow that field. We need to engage more young people. We need to engage a more diverse community. We need to have younger, and I'm obviously about to speak against my own self-interest, but we need a younger and more diverse board of directors. But we don't need to change anything fundamental, because fundamentally we're doing what we were designed to do 50 years ago, and we're doing it very well. And you know, the proof is in the pudding and on the air. I mean, it is remarkable. It is remarkable that we're still here after 50 years. But B, the quality of our programming. I mean, my goodness, we have a dozen people who are who either are national figures or could be doing national broadcasting on any one of a number of big city stations or even syndicated. And the community understands that, and the community appreciates what we do. So, you know, we should be proud of what we've done, but know that we have challenges ahead, and it's going to take creative thinking and some hard decisions. So we can see 75. 50 is great. 75, that would be sweet. Anything else?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to know if there's anything you would have done differently in your periods as a board member.
Yeah. My first term as president, I was pretty defensive. I took criticisms. I took structural criticisms too personally, and it took me a while to work through that. I think the second term, I was a much better leader, but I was a better servant leader. I was more inclusive. I did not take things defensively. So I think I really grew in the position. I would have been less defensive my first term as president. Actually, I was president in like 2017, 18, and that times were very bad. And the fact that we survived that is really remarkable. And I frankly, I'm not sure exactly how we did, because there was acrimony within the board. There was mistrust between the board and the staff. Finances were nasty. As the song goes, when there's plenty of nothing, it makes a fella mean. And somehow we worked through it. A large part of it was we got COVID money. We got that PPE money that really provided a financial life vest or life reserve that really helped us through a very difficult period. But in terms of personally, I was too defensive my first term as president, and I'm glad I was able to work through that and become a better leader.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see a lot of familiar faces. My name is Andrew Thomas, and when folks ask what I do for a living, I usually tell them that I'm in radio, and I just manage a coffee shop 40 hours a week as a passion project. So, I've lived here in Madison for a decade now. I came here for academia, and I stayed for the quality of life. And that whole time I was listening to WORT, first found WORT because of Democracy Now! That tuned me in to all the great programming that WORT does. I started volunteering about 3 years ago, August 2022. And this is kind of the reason why I say that I'm in radio, because since that time, I started my regular volunteering shift is sound engineer for a public affair in Madison Book Beat on Mondays. From that, I got to start doing some guest DJing, Global Revolutions that came on before that. That got me plugged in with the On the Horizon World Music Collective. Started doing some sound engineering work there with Ward Blackwell. Started hosting Madison Book Beat, as well as being a sound engineer for that. Did that for 2 years, and I just finished my last show last month, taking a break from Madison Book Beat. I have guest hosted a public affair a number of times. I have done a number of volunteer events, such as like setting up for Wortstock, going to Wort Bolorama, things like that. I've done pledge wrapping on air. So I've seen a lot of what goes on behind the station, both in the news and talk side, as well as the music side. I've been able to even cobble together an event with Doug in here and a local shop owner here in Madison. He owns a skate shop out in Monona. And last year in August, we put on the Sport to Wort, which was a skateboard contest where we had Wort DJs DJing at the Madison Skate Park, hitting a very crucial demographic to Wort, younger people. And we're doing it again this year in the end of August as well. So I got to kind of test out what it would be like to do more programming out in the community for Wort as well. Like everybody else has expressed, Wort means probably more to me than anything else in Madison because of the way it functions as a hub to build relationships, both with volunteers that are in here, as well as make connections out in the community. And I also really align with the values, the progressive values and great musical taste of the Wort community. I have never attended a board member meeting, but I have sat on a number of task force meetings. I sat on some of the social media meetings as well. And I think one of the things that I would like to see change in Wort is how we're designing programming to get younger folks in here. And when I say younger folks, I include myself in that demographic, but folks in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. Because from the various things that I do in Madison, kind of similar to Carlos, I feel like I know a lot of people that I've come across and say like, oh, I love WORT. How do I get involved? I'd love to play music, right? And so I feel like that there is a really strong untapped pool of talent in Madison that if we can make it more apparent and create more opportunities for getting involved in Wort, I think we'll see Wort get to that 75-year mark as well as the 100-year mark. Before managing a coffee shop, I was in academia for over a decade. Did kind of a midlife career switch, but so I bring a lot of organizational skills that come from over a decade of being a teacher. So that is curriculum design, that is like building calendars out years in advance, backward designing things to make sure that we're getting to the right goal and in a timely manner. I sat on a countless number of meat grinder meetings of academic employment searches. So I'm familiar what that looks like, trying to find somebody from a large pool of applicants to fill a very important position. So while I did not have decision-making roles in that, I did offer feedback. And so I am familiar with those processes. Like everybody here, I want to see Wort grow, but I feel like I have a lot of different talents and skills that while there are some specific things that maybe I would like to try and implement, I also feel very much kind of like a Swiss Army knife of sorts, and that I would like to be used to address problems or get initiatives off the ground, maybe that we already have in mind, but use these skills as an educator, as well as somebody who knows a lot of the in and outs of the station so far, to get those things up and off the ground. That's 5 minutes. Any questions?
Do you have any experience with collective bargaining on either side of the
collective bargaining? No, but been a self-educator for a long time, so I'm sure I could learn how to do this. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what it looks like.
At this point, it's
Yeah. So the voting, the election goes until 4:45, 5 o'clock.
it's at 5.
Yeah, so we have time. Done.
Yeah, we're now going to stand in informal. We've got some food, we've got some beverages. We're going to socialize. Obviously, if people need to get back out into the heat, they can do so. But if they wish to stay here in the comfy confines of a vinyl library, more than welcome. And
if you haven't voted yet, there's signs up that has a QR code on it that'll take you right to the voting website.
I have to do it the old fashioned way.
I mean,
Where are the ballots?
In Doug's office.
Doug's office.
Yes.
You were board, what's this?
Yes.
Are the results?
You know, Aaron Levine is on the Lake Madison board.
Look at you.
Yeah, he and I work together.
I know him.
Gosh.
You know,
This is my hanging back, running against Fred Dresser in 1990. At a time, at
So he's working for
a time when he was younger than I am today. This is what really killed me. I was looking at the calendar, I said, so I ran against Fred in 1990. The Silver was trying to pass the torch. The minority, he was the assistant minority.
Retirement great.
So.
Get out there. Get out there.
Yeah. I am so today that he was when I ran against him. He was
The rest is amazing.
This is Pete Haney. Can anyone hear me?
You know. If you see Aaron, how do you
Oh, this is Pete Haney. Can anyone hear me?
It might have been a car accident.
Is someone trying to talk?
Peter?
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, how can we help?
So is there an online voting link?
There was one sent out on May 29th.
I'm good. Go.
I'll catch it.
To all eligible members.
Yeah, to all eligible members, a link was sent out on May
Doug,
29th.
can you interact? Doug, can you talk?
Got it. Thank you.
Yep, cool. Thanks.
I'm from New York.
Want to vote?
That's awesome.
I'm on the. Yeah. In that area.
Which is exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, I talked to him at another event and I said, how do you get on the committee?
Carlos, I'm interested in your record, but
Yeah.
more about it.
Go on. It's something that I did years ago.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I was surprised at how few. Well, I mean, it was a beautiful product.
So, it was when I was based in, my sister did a lot of,
Okay.
a lot of.
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
Fury, Justin.
Really?
Yeah.
So you would know the alleys. You know my dad done.
You know, I don't expect that going forward, I will be terribly relevant.
Who's this lovely person talking to me?
No, not yet. I don't.
So these are skills that I have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got. I mean, Jerry. Yeah.
You or Andrew should definitely.
And I started seeing that. At that point.
I've been a long time.
Start doing the work.
You know.
What kind of?
500 views on this.
I mean,
You know, 500, I mean, you know.
Try to do good.
Yeah, it's very serious.
I mean, yeah, I mean, one of the things that the task force is gonna have to prioritize is social media digital.
Many.
I do not know the answer. Do you know the answer?
Well, I do social media.
Okay.
Yeah. We need
Great.
I have a record. I do a lot of records.
So I
No, I'm gonna give a speech next year.
No.
Yeah.
And they are.
Everyone else said, no, that's what my job. Pretty much.
Like,
Like,
very
yeah.
nice things about the.
Oh, we had three since I started.
Yeah.
No, the guy that was getting.
Difference. I was working at that point.
So they do
Really
that.
different state.
When I think.
Oh, Bill?
Yeah. Also thinking.
He was
about
so
senior.
Oh, God, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know that he was treasurer, so he wasn't treasurer.
Yeah.
So good.
This is like sort of what did you do in that? So I was
Advice people if you were willing to do it. Probably soon.
I'm here.
Whatever the auditor says,
I think.
because they're obligated
Oh,
to
yeah.
say those.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
You
Well,
know,
then people should
COVID
be
didn't help the situation.
Yeah.
I hope to have
But on the
most respect and
threshold question,
love of
we've got,
Maureen.
was it for social media?
It's part of she has her job, so I'm not really worried about the audit. Even if they say stuff, you know, they have to say something. So.
Provided.
Right, like after, you know, well, the board member comes. Finance audit report, which is overwhelming a little bit, but it's also great to get like, here's everything, we finished everything. Here's a lot of stuff happening at the station, and we budget for, it. I was like, okay, cool, now I get to ask follow-up questions and jump in both feet, so.
I look at a lot of other radio stations, I think we have one of the better websites.
I've been working with Wagner since.
We got more information.
Because they.
More interestingly, I mean, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But I never.
CPFAs.
Yeah.
And I think that's mainly Tom.
I'm pulling the.
Yeah, I mean, that's the next
Just finished.
staff that the board is gonna have to deal with.
I don't have for free.
But anyway, I just wanted
Tom is working.
Did you briefly at Shelley's going away outside of? Someone else. Hello, how'd your show go? It's fine. Like you.
But it's like.
We have another MOU.
Don't worry about it. It's super cool.
So that's great. Side out and then the side. Really?
I think I missed some people that you know are gonna make this far up, some other people that you're gonna be like Michael Bear.
Which is.
You were like,
I really wanted to make it, I wanted to retire from all my political activities.
Hey, Danny, if you can hear me, I sent you a ballot to your email.
Anyway.
Thank you, Doug.
You know, honestly, I really bugged when I left.
Okay.
It's just not a great thing to be. When you're paying too close attention, it's hard to, you know.
If I served another 3 years, I would retire shortly before my 70s.
Yeah.
If all goes well.
Yeah, we trickled.
Right.
Like I did poke my nose through the window at one point. I was
Well,
like,
you know, it's a tough world out there. It's a tough world, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've already had one like exactly else. But I feel far less vulnerable to
yeah, voted.
serious attack now than I did when I was a politician.
She was not.
Might have to tear it down today.
You didn't think I had a good I had more.
I
never had a microphone I didn't like. Well, I mean, as a general rule, I think I've said that, you know,
for
over 10 years, I was president of the February. The community reasonably accommodates. President. I think that, yeah, so I'm a little less worried. So many other points. I've taken the bars off the first floor. Like, you know.
You stood up for a while.
I'm very aligned.
But no, there was a period where it's like, no, I'm not gonna live on the street.
Yeah.
It's really.
Everyone's just staring.
Oh,
Radio, just
you know, they all claim
imagine everyone is.
No, I don't want to do that.
So.
Let's go. We have meetings with these people. You're not. I mean, in other people. We've met. Some board.
We definitely.
Yeah, you called me out in a report.
I signed up for one of these.
And I think it's a great job.
You
I
really
have
need
some
someone
differences
for
with other
what are you
people
gonna
about how it's done. And I got a ton of experience.
Have a document here that tells. We have enough.
We do. I mean, if there was an emergency, the board needed somebody right away. I'm only working part-time at the chamber orchestra, so I can jump in and help.
Yeah.
Good to know. I've done the job, so I know how to do it.
And I think with.
I would do it differently.
One of the problems was.
In my
Membership. We didn't know.
I was
19 people.
in Susan Jeff
Was it creepy?
from 2002 to 2005.
Oh, wow.
No, I was
So,
really.
Some of my push drives, the first one was like
The choice
97,
between
5, but
last Thursday.
you have to run them through constant dollar calculator. And some of that old, you're familiar with that? So that would translate into like 145,000.
No, I know,
Which
no,
would be
I
really
should have said, I should have realized, oh, wait a minute.
And I have, all the rest were over 100,000.
I apologize.
But then
But we'll
from
set it
there,
all going forward.
one that would,
Yeah, because every other committee has actual.
Did you listen to the two of us fundraising together?
I did.
What did you think?
Yeah, it sounded like you had a great time. 19 is a
You know, not important.
Yeah.
So I tuned in, and I was like, that was some class A wall wrapping.
and through the heart of Athens.
He's really good at it. And
So.
I think we're.
You were
go too, so. It really helps. I haven't seen it since Lauren.
I was doing a public show before.
You used to work in Minnesota Public Radio.
I can go now and find yours.
You know, search.
Oh, yeah. You think they existed back then?
Well, the
2024.
Okay, yeah.
We did 2 drives. We raised them to 4,000.
holy cow. Which
That
is
is smoking hot even for Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's very impressive.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, we did over 2,000 for some of the push drive, which was amazing.
John Nichols and Bob Nichols for 1998.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were. It was biggest.
I have, we barely have.
Longevity is part of it.
I have some.
It's 70s.
Yeah, you have a very strong listening base.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the archiving.
Well, I mean, I'll go through the cassette archives and see what I've got. I don't even know what's there. It's interesting. And once upon a time.
Bring up the most infamous announcement for
the
the
magazine
annual meeting.
I don't think so.
You could photocopy it and it lived forever. But
I have to think about how far back
it's gone.
it was a really long
Now
time.
it's like anything you say is.
Billy Barrel of Lining Thread will be attending the annual WRT meeting.
And
Will you be?
you have to keep that in mind.
Oh, that'll bring people.
That was hilarious.
Yeah. So
I gotta ask Lizzie if she remembers that. Well, thank you very much for being involved.
My pleasure, thank you.
Okay.
A good place to be involved at a very important time.
Yeah, you know where Victory's Cafe?
Lizzie,
Okay.
do you remember the most infamous announcement for WRT annual meeting?
They're about.
Order Barrel of Lining Thread will be attending the WRT annual meeting. Will you be? You don't remember that one? Oh my God. Oh my God, that was hilarious.
So I'm gonna be doing the Access Hour history the next one.
No.
Talking about the night that we did the best award, the New Year's Eve best award.
When was that? Oh, man.
That was about the third time Ward had celebrated an anniversary. It was very, very early on.
Okay, so do you remember when Kit Turn declared an immediate financial emergency and we cleared the decks of the program schedule entirely? And they just invited all the best fundraisers, which were you and me.
We were darn good.
You bet. But Kit came back to visit me.
Did she?
Kit has come back to visit me. Michaela has come back to visit me. Jerry Seigers came back to visit me.
That's really nice.
Mark First came back to visit me.
I just stay in touch with people that moved back.
Well, there you go. But amazing. I remember, I think Kit is in DC. And Jerry is somewhere on the East Coast. The person I've kind of lost contact with is Danny.
Yes, we're doing an exercise.
Who gave you? Okay.
We're gonna be on it.
I'm Sarah.
Hi, I'm Leslie. It's Gigi Sparks. I'm here.
Okay, okay.
Stuart.
Yeah.
Remember here from Danny.
Yeah. I think I'm a
Well,
Facebook.
I'm on the
Yeah, I had a
so-
brief experience.
So I guess
Okay.
some access hours have been saved. So like, what do we do
Oh,
this time?
okay,
And I go,
good.
the best of war. We put this show on for the year on New Year's Eve.
I think I
We
got
play all different kinds of music. It's crazy.
Elaine, and we've done